Hi guys, I'm Tracy. Thank you for joining me today. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over some of my favorite brushes that I use to make my makeup look flawless. Those brushes that I use to give my makeup that little extra something to make it look even better. Like, the very last step, something that you might use before going to a party and you just want to look your best. And this is a step that I often don't do just because I forget and it's a little time consuming. But before we get started, if you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy this content and subscribe before you leave. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. All right, so let's get started. The first one I'm going to start with is an eye brush. So I did my eyeshadow a little rough today because I wanted to show you guys what I do to my eyeshadow as a very last step. And this is actually a step I do most of the time. It just doesn't always happen. So let me show you this is the Goss number 3. And this is one of my all-time favorite brushes. It's great blue squirrel hair. I have 2 of them. They're amazing, not just for this, but also for laying down your first eyeshadow color, your transition color, or even like a light color on the top. Anyhow, not what we're talking about today. I use this. This is my first choice when I'm looking for something to kind of smooth everything out. So let me zoom you in. I'm going to try to remember to zoom it out. Okay, so see this eyeshadow look. It looks okay, but I want to make it look even better. And make sure it's clean. I've forgotten that and it's not a good thing. So I just kind of like along the edges and like kind of up here, just kind of like blend everything together. Make sure the shimmer and the mattes kind of melt together. I hope this is coming out. So I hope that showed you guys how it kind of like softened the look. Another one I want to show you guys, because this is fairly new, but I do use this for this purpose sometimes. So I'm going to use it right here. This one is a firmer brush because it's got gold hairs in it. So it's going to kind of move your product around a little bit more than the Goss number 3. So if you want something that's a little bit of a stronger brush, then maybe this one's a better one. But I hope you can see how it's just a little more blended, a little more like professional looking, if that makes sense. So, okay. So those are the brushes that I've been using for my eyeshadow. I do still favor the Goss number 3, and I know I talk about this all the time. Powder your under eyes with it. It's just such a well-made brush, and I recommend this so much. So, if you've been watching my videos, I apologize for being redundant. But if you want to go Hakuhodo, this one is a pretty good option as well. Okay, so now I'm going to go into my finishing brushes. So these are complexion brushes, and the first one I'm going to talk about is the Koyudo CD Japan Fupa 14. So this is a very popular brush. I know some of you guys have already bought it, and it is made out of gray squirrel and Sokoho goat hair, and it is a buffing brush. It's very dense. The hairs are fairly short, and it comes in this short little handle, but you can sit it down, which I really appreciate, and you can only get this on CD Japan. So this is, I would say, probably my top favorite brush for finishing with finishing powder. So I don't need to do it today because I didn't put a whole lot on there, but like days when I maybe put a little bit too much blush or my bronzer looks a little patchy, this is really good for just kind of smoothing everything together, blending everything together. If you feel like your makeup maybe looks too much like makeup and you're not going for that look, this is a really good one to just kind of lighten everything and just kind of like perfect your skin. It works really great with those hourglass powders, but you can use it with regular setting powder as well. But I really do recommend this for those of you who like using finishing powders especially. And I think that's pretty much the only thing I've used it for. If you were to use it for blush or bronzer, because it's so dense, it will put on a lot of product. So I recommend this mainly for finishing. Okay, and another one that I also really like, and I used to talk about this all the time because there's a lot of interest in this brush, and it is a wonderful brush for those of you who do use finishing powder, and that's the Sonia G Smooth Buffer. Now she has a couple of other ones. I think one of them is now called the Buffer Pro, but this one seems to be available fairly often. It might not be currently, but I do feel like this one is not too hard to get compared to some of her other face brushes. But it's a flat top brush, and it is made to buff in, you know, face products. You can use it for bronzer and blush, but I do think this shines at doing finishing powder. And because of the shape, it really gets close to the eyes, between the nose, this area. This one is like a little big, so it's kind of hard to get into like some of these spaces. But if you really want to be precise and you want to get every part of your face, this is great. I don't have powder on it, but I use it with my Hourglass finishing powders. I do like using this to kind of give my skin that like special something. I would say it kind of creates a little bit of luminosity. I did notice that. And so if you're someone that likes a little bit more of a luminous finish to your makeup, I think you will really like this. Now, if you don't do this step, I don't think this would be worth it. It works well with bronzer and contouring and things like that, but I don't think it's necessary to have this particular brush to do that. But this is unique in that it's very good for smoothing the skin with a luminous finish. So that's the Sonia G Smooth Buffer. Now the last one, I'm going to recommend this kind of with caution because it's very new, but I wanted to mention it just because it is different from the brushes I have. I am waiting for another a brush that's similar from Refer. I just haven't received it yet. But this is the Hakuhodo J509. Now this is a big brush and it's an expensive brush. But what I've been finding with this one, and I've been using it, like I'm not one to get a lot of big fluffy powder brushes because I tend not to use them. I have a bunch that just never get used. But this one, I'm really surprised at how much I'm using it, and what I'm finding it does is, of course, it covers a big area. This will get a big area, and unlike the other two I mentioned, this one makes my skin look more matte. It makes my skin just look more matte. I did use it on this side to put some powder down. I know it's kind of hard to tell, and I have highlighters, so it's not a good example of what I have on right now, but I do feel like if you have to wear a mask and you want to kind of get a lot of powder on, you really want to lock your makeup in, or maybe you have oily skin and you want to make sure your makeup lasts, or if you're going to have a long night or something, this will do a really good job at applying a pretty decent amount of product, but in a very mattifying way. So I know that's not always what we're going for, but I kind of prefer a matte look sometimes, especially like areas like this and here and here. Like I don't necessarily want this part to shine. And I think, with a lot of us having to wear masks, I now powder pretty much my whole face now because I'm in California. We have to wear a mask every time we go indoors. and it's just one of those things that I've changed in my routine to kind of help my makeup stay on when wearing a mask. So this is the last one, the Hakuhodo J509. I also do a demo with this in my last Hakuhodo haul, which I will link below. But that's my last one. I didn't have a whole lot that I used for this purpose, but I thought I would share with you guys, you know, these brushes. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.